So hello guys, what's up and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's me, your girl Barrister Neze, and this is Nezeville. The coroner's inquest to unravel the mystery surrounding MOHBAD's deaths began about 2 weeks ago, and on day one, MOHBAD's parents as well as his DJ gave their respective accounts of all that they know. Recall that I had earlier enlightened us on what a coroner's inquest is, how I explained that it is not a court trial per se. No one will be sentenced at the end of this proceeding and no one is going to jail, at least not now. It is a judicial inquiry where a court's magistrate probes and inquires as to the cause of death which is considered unnatural, unusual, or suspected of foul play. And at the end of the day, the magistrates will tender their reports. If you want to get full details or understand what this proceeding is about, you can make recourse to that video. Link will be in the description box. Well, only a few hours ago, the second sitting of this inquest took place, and it featured one whom a majority of people have been dying to hear her account. It featured the account of none other but MOHBAD's widow herself, WUNMI, and for the first time since the death of her husband, she has now spoken extensively. In her over 3 hours of testimony, WUNMI, who disclosed that she met MOHBAD when she was in secondary school, high school for those not watching from Nigeria, disclosed a whole lot. She gave her account of the incidents leading to her husband's death, the day he died and the way he died, and what has now happened after his death. We will discuss and break this down subject matter by subject matter. Let us begin. On the issues between her and MOHBAD's father, WUNMI said that the relationship between her and MOHBAD's father started on a very warm, pleasant and cordial note. They had a good father-daughter relationship at the onset. They ate from the same plates, confided in each other, and they were like best of friends, if I can put it that way. She said that her father-in-law would constantly bless her womb and pray for her to conceive and bear a child. She disclosed that they were so close that she and her husband's rented apartment at Lekki used to be the meeting points for MOHBAD's father and his concubine. No, I don't mean MOHBAD's stepmother. I mean his father's girlfriend. So he will constantly bring his lover over to their home to spend the night, and she never raised an eyebrow or questioned him. Rather, she accorded him his respect, as that was his son's house. She recalled that trouble in paradise started on the day that she had MOHBAD's child, Liam, and that MOHBAD's father had demanded for the placenta of the child. She said that it was MOHBAD's decision not to hand over Liam's placenta to his father, as he was not just comfortable about that demand, and that incident began to make their relationship sour, as he was under the impression that it was WUNMI who refused to hand over the placenta. She claimed that another major issue, in fact the last straw that broke the camel's back, was on this fateful day when MOHBAD's father brought this same concubine to their house unannounced. He didn't tell them that he was coming with his lover. He just showed up, and when he showed up, he met MOHBAD's mother, who had come to visit. She said that MOHBAD's mother was very upset that she and MOHBAD will allow his father to bring his girlfriend over to their house to spend the night, as that does not respect the sanctity of their union, and that caused a big issue, and MOHBAD's father was under the impression that WUNMI set him up, and according to her, that incident further solidified their enmity, and the pastor turned her to his sworn enemy. She refuted the claims made by Mohbad's dad that he had seen a bucket of blood lying by the corners of the room the day that Mohbad died. She said that the contents of that bucket was water, and that Mohbad's younger brother, who used to reside with them, can attest to that, and that there was no blood gushing from anywhere, as the injury that Mohbad had earlier sustained was a very small cut. Now that is that on the issues with her father-in-law. Let us now move to the next subject matter. What transpired on the night of the show and what led to that ill-fated fight. WUNMI further opened up on what transpired on that night. She said that Mohbad had gotten invited for a show somewhere at Ikorodu, and that he went with her, their child, his younger brother who lived with them, and his friend Prime Boy, amongst others. She said that they arrived the venue at 7 p.m. but Mohbad performed around 9 while she sat in the car with their child. After Mohbad's performance, he had tried getting into the car, but he was swarmed by a bee of fans who began beckoning on him to settle them, to show them love. In other words, to give them some money. She said that Mohbad gave them 100,000 naira, but the insatiable crowd was still thirsty for more. They kept on clamoring for more money and they wouldn't let him go. So he had to send somebody to go fetch a bouncer to disperse the crowd. And then when the bouncer was taking forever to come back, he had to give his younger brother some money to go make some smaller pieces out of it. In Nigeria, we call it to make change, so he could give the crowd and they would let him go. And so the brother left, and there they were, seated in the car, and according to her, she was seated right in the middle, Mohbad to one side and Prime Boy to the other. So she sat in between them. She said that Mohbad's brother took a considerable amount of time before he returned, and that angered Prime Boy, who lashed out at him, questioning him for keeping them waiting all this while. And then Mohbad's brother lashed back at him, and then they fell out. According to her, Prime Boy expected that Mohbad should have intervened and cautioned his brother to bridle his tongue, call his brother to order, as Prime Boy said that he wouldn't have sat there if the tables were turned and watched his own younger brother insult Mohbad. And before she knew it, Mohbad and Prime Boy began having a disagreement. The argument quickly escalated, and Prime Boy addressed Mohbad as Promise, which she said Mohbad didn't like to be called in public. And then he went ahead to say, Mohbad, shut up. She said that when Prime Boy told him to shut up, Mohbad got so infuriated. And so he sprang out of the car furiously from his own side, made a turn to where Prime Boy was seated. And when she saw that the matter has gotten out of her control, she dashed out to the other car, the other Prado Jeep, to call other guys to come and separate them and intervene. And that when she came back, a crowd had already gathered, trying to intervene and separate the fight. And in the course of that scuffle, Mohbad had already obtained an injury. So that is WUNMI's testimony about the fight and the cause of the fight. The ill-fated argument that snowballed into all of this. So next, let us discuss her own account of the aftermath of that event. So the next subject matter, injured and back home. WUNMI testified that after that incident on Sunday night, by Monday, she was visibly upset with her husband for how he conducted himself in public, and that when Mohbad noticed her anger and her silence, he approached her and apologized to her, and then they made up. And then he went ahead to show her the injury that was hurting him. WUNMI said that she had beckoned on Mohbad for them to visit the hospital immediately, but Mohbad had declined saying that it was only a minor injury and that he was gonna be fine, and that a nurse was coming very soon to check it out, so no worries. She noted that MOHBAD had an intense phobia for hospitals and hospital environments after that NDLEA incident when he was allegedly giving something to drink when he was in detention of the NDLEA. And after drinking that substance, he landed in the hospital terribly ill. She said that after that incident, MOHBAD developed a big loath for hospitals, so bad that he had begged her that she should try to deliver the child at home instead of going to the hospital. So according to her, when MOHBAD declined going to the hospital, she got methylated balm, what we call rub in Nigeria, and applied it around the injury, hoping that it was one of those small cuts that will heal and disappear. She reiterated that the wound was neither deep nor severe. So that was WUNMI's account of what happened shortly before MOHBAD passed on. So let us discuss her testimony on how MOHBAD died. WUNMI explained that MOHBAD's personal nurse was not available and that his friend Spending had invited another nurse to come check out the injury at home. And when this nurse arrived, she and his DJ informed her of MOHBAD's medical history, that he had ulcer, and then she proceeded to check the hand and went ahead to administer some injections. According to WUNMI, she was cooking simultaneously as the nurse treated her husband, so she had stepped out briefly to check what she had cooking on the burner. And when she returned, she heard something in the likes of MOHBAD complaining to the nurse that she should stop, that the injection is making him feel funny. But in a twinkle of an eye, he fell down and began vomiting and convulsing. WUNMI said she dashed out of the house to go seek for help. She noted that MOHBAD's vehicle was not present on ground as it was in the mechanic. So she dashed over to a neighbor's house to call for help, who in turn sprang into action, and then they all moved to the hospital. On their way to the hospital, they encountered a traffic jam. She said they couldn't sit put in the car to wait for the traffic to subside. She sprang out of the car. They got a motorcycle, what we call Okada in Nigeria, a bike, a motorbike. So they all rushed to the hospital on motorcycles. She said that when they got to the hospital, she wasn't allowed to proceed beyond a certain point. They rolled MOHBAD into the ward, but only 15 minutes later, the doctor came out to pronounce that MOHBAD was dead, and as a matter of fact, he was brought in dead. Breaking into uncontrollable tears, WUNMI noted that she couldn't believe her ears or eyes. She called MOHBAD's mother, his cousin, and some other close family relations to tell them what had happened. And that was WUNMI's testimony at the coroner's inquest, which held a few hours ago, detailing her account of how MOHBAD died, on why he was hurriedly buried, and buried in that state in an undersized coffin. WUNMI noted that after she informed MOHBAD's mother, his mother certainly called his father, and his father came and took MOHBAD's body. She emphasized that MOHBAD's father completely left her in the dark in the arrangement of her husband's burial. According to her, she didn't even know that her husband was getting buried. MOHBAD's father completely sidelined her and buried MOHBAD without telling her, consulting with her, or carrying her along. She got to hear of her husband's burial from third parties, and that after her husband died, she has not even been able to stay in the house, as she has been getting death threats from internet users and members of the public, promising to kill her and accusing her of murdering her husband. We will stop here for now. So when it comes to social media judgments, there is nothing, absolutely nothing, like a perfect testimony. The whole truth may seem like a lie because life and its circumstances itself does not play out perfectly like the movies. And on the other hand, a well-crafted lie may also appear as the truth. It's about seeing what your eyes wants to see and hearing those parts that your ear wants to hear. It is about choosing to believe what you want to believe. So this is WUNMI's account. We all have been dying to hear it. What do you think of it? Let us know your thoughts and feelings down in the comment section. Well, there are some consistencies in WUNMI's testimony with the testimonies of other people that have given their own accounts, especially when it borders on the fight, the injury, the nurse, the injections administered, and the reaction after the injection. There are some similarities, but one will also note the apparent inconsistencies when it comes to the area of the cause of the fight. Recall that Prime Boy had told us earlier that the reason why he fell out with MOHBAD was that MOHBAD was having an argument with his wife and he was trying to intervene to calm MOHBAD down. And WUNMI, on the other hand, is testifying that the argument was with Prime Boy and MOHBAD and she was the intercessor. So the big question is, who is telling a lie and who is saying the truth? Well, I think one person can step in and resolve this discrepancy, and that one person is none other but MOHBAD's brother himself, who was said to be present in that vehicle and who is believed to have witnessed all of these. I am earnestly looking forward to his own testimony, and I am optimistic that maybe on the next adjourned date, coming up a few days from now, the court will invite him to give accounts of what he knows. I'll be keeping my eyes on that. In our next video, we are going to be reviewing a lot, including all that WUNMI has to say about Naira Marley and Sam Larry and what transpired. If she was truly a Malian, her relationship with Naira Marley, her involvement with Sam Larry, all that transpired between her husband and that record label. We're also going to discuss all that MOHBAD's best friend. There's so many best friends springing up these days. We now see that there is another man who identifies himself as MOHBAD's best friend, and he also has something to say about WUNMI. In our next video, we will be addressing the other parts of these accounts, as well as so many other things that have come to light. If you're not subscribed, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications, give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, share it if you want other people to hear it as well, and stay glued because we have so much more coming your way. It's me, your girl Barrister Neze, and this is Nezeville.